Hey everyone, another week of quarantine, another week of new yoga videos. So here we go, guest starring Luna. See how long she stays here. So I guess one good thing about today is the sun's actually out. I feel like it's been rainy and cloudy for the past 5 or 6 days. So I went outside. I have a pretty sizable backyard considering I live in the city, and noticing all of the grass and weeds kind of cracking through the surface, right? The surface of the ground, right, that has been kind of hard and maybe a little bit brittle, right? And it's actually as the grass and the weeds kind of push through, kind of cracks through the surface, and it's actually leaving, right? There's like cracks in the ground, right? That yields to this life above. So we're gonna work on cracking through our kind of mid upper back, right, to give life and lift to our upper back, right? So there's the area around the thoracic spine. I'm just going to turn around real quick and show you. Actually, I don't think I need to show you. So there's an area of our spine that's kind of right in line with our scapula, and we'll get there. I will actually touch it in a minute. That's pretty tight. So it's around like T7, T8. So mid thoracic spine, right? That kind of quote unquote it's stuck. Only because of its structure. That's just the way it is. When we go into flexion, forward folding, and extension, back bends, our thoracic spine vertebrae are not necessarily built for maximal flexion and extension, but we're going to try to use our arms as levers, or kind of like an axe chop, or like a hoe chop, right? Like you're gardening, I guess, out there. To try to crack open that area around T7 or T8, right, to give lift and life to the upper back above that area, right, so we can open up. So back bend's definitely involved. So you shouldn't really need that many props today. I'm sitting on a block. I would prefer, if you can comfortably set up in a supported hero's pose, Virasana, right? Block long ways in between your feet. Excuse me, I'm just gonna start my timer. I've been trying really hard to keep to about 45 minutes to an hour, because I know we tend to have a little bit less attention span online live. Okay, so coming to supported Virasana, ideally. Femur bones are pretty much parallel. Heels are grazing the outside of your hips. Feel grounded through both sit bones. And you can just place your hands wherever you want on your thighs. Either face down, right, if you want to feel grounded, rooted, right, as the grass and the weeds are beginning to take root through the surface, or maybe palms up, to invite that opening, that life that is beginning. And then just close your eyes or take a soft gaze. And begin to come into your deeper diaphragmatic breath. So deeper, longer inhales and exhales. And notice how in your inhales it kind of gives rise, length to along your spine. Your collarbones widen. And as you exhale, and your body, your outer body, kind of softens around the lift you just created. And just as the grass and the plants and the weeds are beginning to crack through the surface and push through the surface, and giving life to themselves, right, growing up towards the sun, right, without collapsing, right? They just kind of keep growing up. So as you build on your breath, continue to kind of lengthen and grow up right, without losing it on the exhale. And then keeping your eyes closed, you're just going to bring your fingertips to your sternum. So just find your sternum wherever, right? So maybe you're towards the top or the middle, it doesn't matter. And then just begin to walk your fingertips down towards the direction of your pelvis, but you're stopping when you're right at the edge of your sternum, so the bottom of your sternum. So you still feel that hard bony area. There's a really small kind of it's called the xiphoid process right below the sternum, right, which is kind of like it's softer. It makes this more cartilage. So above that, still on the base of your sternum, right, the bottom, right. So that's basically in line with about your T7, T8 thoracic vertebrae. All right, so kind of keeping this base of your sternum area in mind, begin to widen your hands so you're wrapping your thumbs towards your back body and your fingers are facing each other on your front body. If you're not sure, you can open your eyes and peek open and see what my hands look like. And then keeping your index finger and thumb kind of at the level, the base of your sternum, you're just going to slide your thumbs towards your back body. So it's kind of like you're holding the side body, right? And your ribs, it's okay, they don't have to touch your vertebra, mine don't, but you're just moving them towards the back body kind of comfortably. So your elbows are kind of out to the side, maybe a little bit back. And then just soften the tops of your shoulders a little bit here. And then we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and I just want you to feel this dimensionality of breath right around this area of your rib cage. So whenever you're ready. So you may feel this is kind of right underneath the pointy part of your scapula, your shoulder blades. Notice if one side of the rib cage has more range of motion, right? That kind of easily moves out into your hands, your fingers on the inhale, and softens on the exhale, right? Has a little bit more mobility, right? And you're going to keep your left hand exactly where it is. And just release your right arm down by your side. On your inhale, go ahead and reach your arm up. Your palm can face the midline, right? And it can be in line with your ears, or maybe a little bit behind your ears, whatever your range of motion is. And then on your exhale, go ahead and release, right? So like you're chopping an axe, right? Your arm is the lever. So again, with your breath, inhale up. And then exhale down. And through this action, just notice kind of the nuance of changes, right? Where that left thumb is, right? At the level of your thoracic 7 and 8 vertebra. And this time as you lift up, you're going to hold, right? So wherever your arm is comfortable, again, it can be beside your ear, maybe a little bit forward, maybe a little bit back. And then we're going to come into kind of an isometric axe chop, right? So like you're going to chop your arm straight down like we've been doing, but you don't let it. So when you're ready, go ahead and do that. And notice what happens at your thumb, your left thumb, and then release that isometric chop, right? Take a deep inhale. And then on your exhale, go ahead and do the isometric chop like you're going to do it, but you don't let yourself. Hopefully you feel maybe a little bit of lift or a little bit of space created right where that left thumb is. So one more time. And then you can actually release your right arm down. And then sit up your right hand where it was, right in line with the base of your sternum. And then we'll switch sides. So release your left arm on your inhale. Go ahead and reach up. We'll just do up and down on the breath. Exhale, down. And again, notice as your arm, you're doing the axe chopping with your arm, right? How it changes, right? How you can perceive the change where your right thumb is. It's harder for me to feel it on my right side. So notice that as well. Right, side to side, if there's a difference. Right, how is this action of your arm changing the relationship of your thumb and your rib cage? Right, the next time your left arm's overhead, you can go ahead and keep it there. Excuse me. And then you're gonna do the isometric axe chop. So like you're gonna chop your arm down in space, but you don't let it. So go ahead. And then release. Then 2 more times. So for me on this side, I know this side is my shorter side. It's a little bit more wacky, I guess. A little bit more stuck. I can feel more of kind of a spread in between my actual ribs more than a lift. The left side I can definitely feel more of a lift. So just notice. And after your 3rd time, you can, there you go, I got the lift that time. Well, just a couple times. And then release your arm down. And then release your right hand. Now we're gonna do both arms. So on your inhale, reach them up. And then exhale and down. And keeping the arms straight as you can. Inhale up. And then exhale down. One more time up, we're gonna hold. And then kind of bring your attention right where your thumbs were. And then begin to do the isometric axe chop. Right, so like you're gonna chop your arms down, but you don't let them. Hopefully you feel a lift in your rib cage. And then see if you can lift your heart up a little bit more, right? Without just simply sticking your ribs out in space, right? So it's really a lift from your sternum and your collarbones up, as opposed to just jutting your ribs out in space to feel like there's a lift happening. So soften your arms, but still keep them reaching up. And then one more time when you're ready, do the isometric axe chop. Feel the lift in your rib cage, right? You're cracking through, you're making space around that T7 and T8 so you can lift, right? Give life out of that upper back, extends up. Take one more inhale and exhale. Then release your arms down. You can open your eyes if they're closed. That was a lot of work for me, already sweating. I'm just gonna pull my hair back. We're gonna come into tabletop, all 4s. So you can go ahead and make your way there while I pull my hair back. So wrists underneath your shoulders and knees underneath your hips. And then as you get yourself set up, you can come into just traditional cat-cow. And bringing your attention as you arch and round your spine, right? Flexion and extension. How that area we were just working on, right in line with the base of your sternum and the tips of your shoulder blades, right? How the mobility is or maybe isn't there. So see if you can concentrate this flexion and extension in your mid-spine, your thoracic spine, specifically around that's aligned with the base of your sternum, right, that T7, T8. For you ladies, it's also kind of bra strappy area. All right, so come back to neutral. And let's reach out through our right fingertips. Right, actually, let's come into the pinky edge, the blade edge of the right hand. So your palm's facing the midline, right? And then extend your left leg straight back. Your toes are still curled under. Okay. So left leg can be strong. And on your inhale, you're just going to reach just the right arm up. So maybe it's alongside your ear, maybe it's a little bit higher. And then down. And then 2 more times, inhale up. And then down. 1 more time. And then this time, as you chop the hand down, really ground down through that pinky edge. And notice that gives you a little bit more room right at that T7, T8 area. And then extend the crown of your head forward so you can create that length, that life in your upper back. Take 1 more deep inhale and exhale. All right, keep the left leg where it is, but bring the palm of your right hand in line with your left, but you're going to flip your palm so your fingers are facing your feet, right? If you can't get it totally flipped, then you can go ahead and kind of flip it on an angle, right? So your fingers are facing out to the right and back, right? So wherever you are, you're just going to kind of shift forward and back, just doing a little bit of a wrist stretch. So you can go ahead and pulse forward and back. Right, and come to stillness, flip the palm back forward, left knee down. Let's switch sides. So you're coming onto the pinky edge of the left hand and extend the right leg straight back. And once you're sit up, on your inhale, go ahead and lift left arm high. And then down, just kind of gently tap the floor. And then 2 more times with your breath. And again, see if you can isolate this movement just to the arm. But notice how just moving the arm kind of affects what's happening in your mid-back. So this time as you chop down, you're going to stay down. But now really ground down, press down through that blade edge. Right, you feel that it gives it space right around that mid-back, that T7, T8 area. And then see if you can extend upper back out of that area. And then soften to bring the palm of your hand, the fingertips flipped towards your feet, or maybe at an angle, right? Whatever's in your range of motion for your wrist today. And then just begin to pulse, shift forward and back. So when you come to stillness, flip your fingertips to face forward. Your right knee comes down. And I'm just going to move back a little bit so you can see me fully on the mat. So we're going to keep our hips over our knees. And you're going to walk your fingertips forward to release your head, your forehead down to your mat. If your forehead doesn't meet the mat, go ahead and grab a block, a book, a blanket to place a towel underneath your forehead. So you have that support. So you don't have to hold your head in space. And then turn your palms to face one another. So again, you're on that pinky edge of your hands, right? And then go ahead and begin to kind of axe chop, right? So you're really ground down to the pinky edge. Feel your armpits hollow. And then there's that space cracking through that T8, T7 area. And then maybe float your forehead a little bit forward to extend out of this area. And then just slightly soften the top of your sternum down as you're creating this space right below your heart by chopping your pinky edges down. Very nuanced, but breathe into it. We're going to hold here for about 10 more seconds. And then soften this axe chop through your arms. Palms face down, you can begin to walk your hands back, lift your head off the earth. Right, so I don't know if you could feel that, but this action we're doing, right, so we're making this kind of chopping down isometrically, and it's creating this space and lift right here at that T7, T8, right? And why we're keeping that, it's like you're trying to lift the top of your sternum and collarbones up, right? So you kind of have this movement this way. So you're cracking that open to lift up. Okay, let's come to downward facing dog. Alright, on your inhale, go ahead and come forward into plank phalakasana. Your shoulders over your wrists. And feel your legs strong and engage your abdomen, your core. Right, so really stabilize the pelvis and low belly. And we're going to walk down onto our forearms, coming to forearm plank. Try to do so with minimal movement of your hips side to side. Okay, so now we're in forearm plank. So go ahead and come onto the blade edge of both of your fingers. If you need to bring your knees down, please do so. Okay, so blade edge of your hands, right, pinky edge, and begin to chop them down. Right. And then as you do that, you're keeping your cracking open at T7, T8. Then gently tug your hands back to extend crown of the head forward. Take one more deep inhale. Then as you exhale, slowly lower your knees, pelvis, low belly, coming to Sphinx. You can release the tops of your feet as well. You can turn your palms to face down here if you'd like. And then again, begin to do this chop down, right? So we're not on the blade edge. If the blade edge helps you access this opening, then you can use the blade edge, your pinky edge. You can also have your palms face down. And so palms face down. You're going to straighten your arms, but you don't. And then keeping that opening, that crack, right? That space that's opening up right around that vertebra. And keep that as you gently tug, right, your hands back in space. So you lift up through the top of your sternum. One more inhale and exhale. All right, curl your toes under. We're going to press up through forearm plank. So begin a little bit of a pelvic tilt to come back up. And then coming back the way we came, one hand underneath shoulder to plank, minimal hip movement. That was a lot of hip movement for me. And then other hip, and then downward facing dog. On your next exhale, you can go ahead and walk your feet towards your hands, coming to a forward fold. I'm not going to walk all the way forward, right, just so you have a better view of me. All right, on an inhale, come up halfway. And then as you exhale, go ahead and fold. Inhale, let's come all the way up, reaching your fingertips high. All right, and then I'm going to turn to face you so we can see. And then release your right arm down by your side. Okay. So I'm not mirroring you. All right, take an inhale here, reach the left fingertips high, then as you exhale, side bend over to the right. You can use this right hand reaching down as kind of a help or leverage or like a weight to help you get a little bit more into the side bend. Okay. And then top arm, your palms facing down. I know you probably can't see it. I know you can't see it on the video, but I am sure that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, and then you're going to try to chop the arm forward, right? Like you want to bring it forward and down like we were chopping, but don't let it so you get that crack open at that T7, T8. Yes, and then see if you can get a little bit more side bend action, right? That opening, that crack opening allows a little bit more mobility in that area, in your spine, right? To give life to it. So one more time, go ahead and isometrically axe chop this top arm forward, but don't let it. Minimal movement, and then see if you can side bend a little bit more. Take one more deep inhale. And then as you exhale, you can just go ahead and fold forward to Uttanasana, forward fold. On your next inhale, go ahead and lift up halfway, maybe your hands slide up to your shins. And then as you exhale and fold, go ahead and step back to downward facing dog. On your inhale, you can lift your right leg high. And then as you exhale, go ahead and bring it forward to a lunge. You're gonna spin your back heel down and come into warrior two. Just set yourself up for a moment. Then we're gonna bring your right forearm to right thigh, preparing for side angle. So just make sure you're not kind of collapsing in that bottom shoulder. Get the head of the shoulder kind of back in space. And then we're gonna bring this left arm overhead, right? So there's kind of one long straight line from the pinky edge of your left foot to your left fingertips. And we're just gonna mobilize that left shoulder a little bit. So you go ahead and swing this arm forward and down, and then back and up. Right? So kind of making circles, doing that axe choppy action right here. I mean down, forward and down. And then just make your way back up. Let's do one more. And this time when your arm's alongside your ear, now bring your hand just a tiny bit forward. And then do that the isometric axe chop. So it's like you're gonna bring your arm forward like we just did, but you don't let it. Crack open that mid-back space. See if you can begin to turn open and lengthen, right, from the T7, T8 area up. Lift through the upper sternum, collarbones wide, right? Do that as many times with that isometric axe chop to create the rotation, a deeper rotation and lift of your upper back, your upper chest. Maybe try one more time. Nice. And then slowly come back to warrior two. Straighten your front leg. And then turn your right toes in so your feet are parallel facing the wide edge of your mat. You can go ahead and place your hands on your hips. So just set up your feet whatever distance feels right. Right, so grind down through the pinky edges and then tug your feet towards one another. And then fold forward, please. So you're going to keep your hips over your ankles. Okay, but walk your fingertips out. Actually, I'm going to move back on my mat a little bit so you can see my hands. Okay. So you're actually going to come onto the pinky edges of the hands. Okay. And then let's do the left side. So you're going to bring your right hand, right, around your left rib cage. Okay. Just so you can feel, right? So there's this, so you maybe have a more deeper perception of what's happening here. You can let your head be heavy, neck long. And then you're going to do your axe chop with the left hand down into the earth. Feel that your rib cage kind of lifts up and creates that space right in that area where you're holding. And then see if you can lengthen, right, your head down heavy, and then your heart kind of forward and down as well. One more inhale and exhale. Keep chopping down. And then release the right fingertips to the earth. You're going to spin your right toes forward to the short edge of your mat. And walk your hands to frame that front foot. So you can make your way back to downward facing dog. Right, so on your next exhale, you can go ahead and walk forward. If you feel like you want to hop, go ahead and hop forward. Coming to forward fold. On your next inhale, come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. And then as you exhale, fold deeply. On your inhale, come all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Both arms reach up. I'm just going to spin around so you can see me again. Right, this time left arm comes down. You're going to begin a side bend to the left. Okay. Again, you can use this left arm almost as a weight to help you get a little bit more deeper into the side bend. And then we're going to do that isometric axe chop. Right, to crack open that T7, T8. And then see if that gets you a little bit more deeper in the side bend. Maybe you can even turn your heart a little bit more up. Do that 2 more times. Isometric axe chop. Oof. That feels good. My right side is so much tighter than my left. Maybe your heart lifts up, and then one more chop. Feel like crack open, and then lift from the top of your sternum. Maybe your head comes back in space. Take one more deep inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and just fold forward, Uttanasana. On your inhale, come up halfway. And then as you exhale, go ahead and step back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. When you're ready on your next inhale, lift your left leg high. And then bring it forward to a lunge on the exhale, or hop it forward. Spin your back heel down. And then come up to Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. All right, so now you can see the back of me, so maybe you'll see a little bit of movement. And when I'm talking about this area, maybe you won't. I'm not sure. I'm not wearing a super tight or revealing shirt, so you might not be able to see it. Okay. So let's bring left forearm to left thigh. And your left arm is alongside your ear, creating this nice long side angle from the pinky edge of your right foot to your right fingertips. So first we're going to mobilize this right arm. All right, so you're going to kind of swing your arm forward and down. And then maybe towards the back plane a little bit and back up. And again, try to minimize or isolate the movements in your shoulder and arm, and just notice how this action, right, this circling changes, right, what's happening at your rib cage, right around that mid back, that T7, T8 area. So as you're chopping down, you might feel a bit more open there, a little bit more lift, and then as your arm is alongside your ear, you're going to hold there. Right, and then we're going to do the isometric axe chop. Okay, so go ahead and chop forward. Right, and then see if you can use that space that you just cracked open to rotate your heart a little bit open and lift the top of your sternum up, collarbones wide. So do that 2 more times. So you do your isometric axe chop. Yep, and then see if it allows you to rotate a little bit more open. Lift from the upper sternum. Right, 1 more time. Take 1 more deep inhale and exhale. And come up through Warrior 2. And then we'll straighten front leg. Turn left toes in. Hands to your hips. Set up your feet. Ground down through pinky edges, then hug and tie your feet towards one another. And then fold forward. Hi. All right, so you're gonna keep your hips over your ankles and walk your fingertips out. So it's kind of like your upper body is in a downward facing dog. Right? And then you're gonna come onto the blade edge of your hands, the pinky edge. And then this time we're gonna work the right side. So go ahead and bring your left hands to the side body, maybe wrapping your fingertips towards the back body. And then actively begin to chop the pinky edge of your right hand down into the earth. You may feel that ribcage lifting, and technically, since we're upside down, it's like it's falling right down towards the ground. It's moving down towards the ground. So keep chopping down, chopping down, creating that space, cracking through, right, those thoracic vertebra, and then see if you can, at the top of your sternum, lengthen down without losing that space that you're creating at the mid-back. Take 1 more inhale and exhale. Release your left fingertips down. Begin to turn your left toes towards the short end of your mat. Hands follow to frame the front foot. Step back to downward facing dog. On your inhale, go ahead and come forward into plank. Right, knees down if you need to. Right. We're slowly going to lower first to the forearms. So minimal hip movement here. once you're on your forearms, palms face one another. And then press your forearms, so you're chopping your forearms down, right? And then tug them back a little bit to get that space. If you need to bring your knees down here, do so. Take one more deep inhale. On your exhale, go ahead and lower knees, pelvis, low belly, tops of the feet ground down for Sphinx pose. You can keep the pinky edge down, or if you want to come down to the full palms of your hands, go ahead and do so. Right. So press down from elbow to fingertip. Like you're chopping. Yeah, you should feel like a little bit of lift and hollowing in the armpits, right, as you crack through that T8, T7 area. And then simultaneously, right, without collapsing around the T7, T8 area, pull your hands isometrically back in space, elbows back, to lift the front top of the sternum, collarbones wide. So much work, little movement, so much work, little movement. Take one more deep inhale and exhale. And then go ahead and release all the way down. Make a pillow for your forehead. If you think of all of the energy it takes, right, for that flower, for that weed, for the grass, right, to crack through the surface of the ground, the soil, right, to open up and reach up and giving life to itself. So we're doing a lot of work here without really seeing it, right, to give ourselves life, to open up through our heart. All right, let's flip over onto our backs. Knees bent, feet on the ground. See if you let your back ribs just be soft towards the earth. Turn your palms to face one another. So you're on the pinky edge. No action here. You're just turning your palms towards the midline. On your inhale, we're just going to lift the arms overhead. And then on your exhale, go ahead and lower. Again, notice how the relationship of your back ribs to the mat changes as you lift and lower, right? Your levers. I guess we're referring to them as axes during this class. So we're doing the axe shop. And the next time your arms are overhead, go ahead and hold there. And it's okay if your fingertips don't reach the ground. They can kind of just be in space, or you can even place a block. If you have blocks or a blanket, you can place them underneath, right, your hands, right, to give yourself a little bit of support. Okay. And then on our back, we're going to do the axe chop, which means it would be like we're going to bring our arms down by our side, but we don't let them. So go ahead and do that. Notice how that area right around T7, T8 kind of moves down towards the ground, maybe even presses down. Right, so you're cracking through that space. Right? And at the same time, keeping that, see if you can lift the top of your sternum up. It's a little harder here, right, because the sticky mat kind of doesn't let you move in that way as easily. Right, so keep chopping arms. You're going to bring them down by your side, lifting sternum up. It helps a little bit to press the back of the head down. One more inhale and exhale. Nice. And then release your arms by your side. One more time. Reach your arms overhead. Right. Create that same action, isometric
axe chop, press down to the back of your head. And then we're going to keep this kind of rounding, this opening at your mid-spine, but we're actually going to begin to move our arms in space forward as we roll all the way up to sit. I might have to move my arms. Actually, I might have to grab the back of my thighs to help myself all the way up. And have your knees still bent so your feet are hip width. Your hands are coming behind you. So your fingertips can face the short edge of your mat, or if there's another orientation that feels better, you can do so. So we're just going to take a moment to just make sure we're set up. You're just going to lift up on your next inhale. And make sure as you lift up, your knees are over your ankles and shoulders are over your wrists, right? And then as you come down, you can make any adjustments necessary. Okay. All right, so on your inhale, go ahead and lift pelvis up. So coming to reverse table, really ground down through the left hand so you can lift the right arm up, okay? And lift it alongside your ear and begin to turn towards the left a little bit, okay? Right, and then you're gonna axe chop. Oh, I have this wall here, I can use the wall. It's really gonna allow me to feel this, right? So palm face down, go ahead and chop down isometrically to crack open, right? And then use that space to then open up a little bit more, heart towards the ceiling. So doing that isometric axe chop and then lift up, sternum, top of the sternum towards the top of your head one more time. Wild thing pose. And then go ahead and lower all the way down, pelvis down. We're going to reset up so we can do the other side. All right. So when you're ready, go ahead and lift up, reverse tabletop, Purvottanasana. And then ground down through the right hand, lift the left, and you're going to turn towards the right a little bit, okay? So palm face down. And then it's like you're going to chop your arm, right? But you don't let it, right? So the isometric axe chop, so go ahead and do that. Feel it crack open at that T7, T8, right? And then see if that lets you rotate a little bit more open, right? And then lift the top of your sternum up towards the top of your head. 2 more times. Chop, rotate, lift. Chop, rotate, lift. Wild thing. Take 1 more deep inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and lower all the way down. All right, so now we're going to set up your mat at the wall. Okay, so I rearranged the view. So we're at the wall. We're going to go into wheel pose or wheel prep and use this axe chop. Again, to find that cracking open at that mid-back so we can lift and grow our upper back out of that area. Okay, so let's set up for wheel at the wall. So even if you don't go all the way up, you can reap the benefits of these actions. Okay, so you're going to set up with your head as close to the wall as possible. I actually like to have the crown of my head touching the wall. And then hands, right, so fingertips facing towards your feet. And then you want to try to get your wrists kind of up, butting up against the wall here. Okay. And then we're not going to come all the way up yet, right? So we're going to come through those steps that we've been working on. So we're just going to come up onto the crown of our head at first, right? So if you need to bring your feet wider, right, to be able to kind of get yourself up in that position, then we'll readjust once we get up there. All right, so just take 2 full inhales and exhales. And actually just kind of press, right, the your wrists against the wall, right? So it's like you're trying to, right, straighten your arms and kind of bring your arms down by your side, just like we did in bridge. But you can't because the wall is there, right? You should feel that area, right, around that mid back, that T7, T8 area, kind of really ground down. So you're cracking open that area. Okay, so when you're ready, I find on an exhale it's easier to come up, but however you want to come up, we're going to come up to the crown of the head. So go ahead and lift up. Alright, so once you're on the crown of your head, then adjust your hands. I like to bring my hands a little bit wider here. And then see if you can feel your feet more hip width distance instead of really wide, right? Just so you're not possibly aggravating the low back. Alright, so your wrists are kind of pressing up against the wall. Right? And you're going to see if you can bring your forearms to the wall. So you're going to press wrists and forearms into the wall. Yep. And then as you're doing this, see, I don't know if you can see, like my sternum is lifting up towards the wall behind me. And I feel a hollowing in my armpits. And I'm keeping that mid-back cracked open so I can really lift up through the upper sternum. All right, you can stay here and practice that, or when you're ready, you can lift all the way up, straighten your arms. Once you're here, see if you can walk your feet a little bit closer towards the wall. Almost like you're trying to get your chest and your arms to the wall. All right, so press your wrists, and like you're going to bring your arms by your side. So it cracks open that area. T7, T8. And then sternum lifts towards the wall, your armpits hollow. So you can stay here for 2 more inhales and exhale. Wrists press, arms towards the wall. Oh, I just felt my back crack, my mid-back crack. All right, and you're slowly going to lower. Whew. I literally cracked it. I cracked it open. I cracked that life open. All right, take 3 full inhales and exhales. All right, we're going to do one more pose in that manner. So go ahead and come to downward facing dog with your hands towards the wall. And maybe walk just a little bit more towards the back of your mat, so away from the wall. Now on your inhale, come forward into plank. Knees down if you need to, please. And then we're going to come to forearm plank. And do the chop, then pull. And then interlace your hands. And then walk your feet towards your arms, your hands. All right, so you're coming into dolphin pose. Right, so it's the same action that we've been doing, right? So press your forearms, hands down, right? Feel that area crack open, lift. Yeah. Then as you're doing that, see if you can soften, right, your sternum. So here, it's almost like you're softening and lifting it towards your legs. So down and towards your legs, right? So you're going upside down. You can stay here and work this. Or if you want to come up into Pincha Marasana, right at the wall, you can go ahead and do that. Your feet against the wall. Maybe gaze towards your thumbs. All right, so forearms down, crack open. And then soften right at the front top of your sternum. And then come down when ready. I haven't practiced that in a while, but I find that really gives
me the balance between my back body, opening that up here, right? The stability on that side, and then the opening allows me to open up, soften my heart away from the wall, right, to get that. So let's just do that one more time. You don't have to do it. If you don't want it, you can just chill in child's pose or whatever pose feels good, or just work in dolphin. So let's sit up directly in dolphin. So before you lift up, find that chopping down like we've been doing, right? So you chop down, you see that, you can see I'm kind of opening up right at the tip of my shoulder blades, and there's like this lift up towards lift, right? There's a space that's creating between my hips and my shoulders, right? So my rib cage is lifting up. Here it's technically lifting, moving down, right? So I'm upside down. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and kick up. All right, so once you're up, you want to re-find, there we go, that lift. And then you're softening, right, your sternum down and away from the wall as you're chopping your arms. And then coming down when you're ready. All right, let's wind down. I'm just gonna change the angle of the camera again. Come to a comfortable seat, both legs straight. You just feel grounded in your sit bones. If you feel like you're beginning to collapse in the low spine, then just place a blanket underneath your sit bones. Give yourself a little bit of lift. So on your inhale, lift your arms overhead. And then exhale, go ahead and release. 2 more times. So this time and the third time when your arms are up, you're going to hold. And you're going to do that isometric axe chop. So bring some activation into your legs. Don't be super forceful, just so you feel grounded. And then do that isometric axe chop. So you crack open that space along T7, T8. And then lift the top of your sternum up. And then begin to hinge forward. So just move slowly, right? So keeping the isometric axe chop as you're folding forward, and then lifting the top of your sternum towards your chin, towards the crown of your head, right? And then once you feel like that's being compromised, right, that's probably going to be your furthest point. And then you can release your arms down, and then totally relax your spine here. Just letting the breath kind of freely move into that mid and upper back area that was doing so much work. Let your arms be really heavy here. I'm sure they're feeling a little fatigued. Right, you can just begin to slowly roll up or hinge up, whatever feels best on your low back. And then you're going to cross, let's cross left leg on top first. All right, so you're going to bend the knee and place your foot on the ground on the outside of your right thigh. Bring your left hand behind you. You can kind of hug your right leg, your left leg with your right arm to help you come into the deepest, right? The kind of your end range of motion here, just by kind of using your arm to get you into the twist, okay? And then once you have that, once you're like at your furthest point, then reach this right arm high alongside your ear, right? And then you're gonna do your isometric axe chop, so go ahead and do that. Right, you feel that crack open space for you to rotate a little bit more, and then see if you're gonna hook this right elbow on the outside of the left thigh. It's for Lord of the Fish pose, Ardha Matsyendrasana. You can let your left pelvis kind of shift back in space if you want your hip to go with the twist, whatever feels best in your body. And then maybe even take your gaze over your back shoulder. One more inhale and exhale. Slowly unwind, and we'll switch legs. So bend the right, cross it over. Right hand comes behind, and then you're just gonna help yourself into a twist. Again, your right hip can shift back in space if that feels best around your sacrum and low back. Right, so you're going far as you can without forcing anything. Okay. So just finding you're like, oh, yep, that's my end range of motion right there. Right, so once you have that, left arm straight up, and then you're gonna do the isometric axe chop. So go ahead and do that. Right, notice how that gives you space, right, to rotate a little bit more and lift the top of your sternum up, 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 up. Oh, that feels good. Hook left arm, maybe on the outside. If you can't hook the arm, if it doesn't make it that far, that's fine. Just keep hugging the arm, but still notice that space you created for yourself by cracking through the surface, right, and giving life and lift right out of that space. Maybe take your gaze over your right shoulder. One more inhale, exhale. Slowly unwind. Come to lie on your back. We're going to do a short Shavasana. But of course, if you want to stay in Shavasana longer, then when I come out of it, please do so. Letting your back body, especially your back ribs, just soften down towards the earth. So you can rest in that energy, that life, right, that you cracked open, that grew out of you. Shavasana pose. Feel a full body breath. brings life back into your physical form, all the way down to your fingertips and toe tips. Maybe bring some movement back into them. Maybe slowly reaching your arms overhead for a full body stretch. Letting whatever happens to kind of your back body, your back ribs, whatever feels good, you can overarch. Right? If you want to, right, let your back ribs soften down, you can. Again, whatever feels good. And then begin to bend your knees so you can bring them towards your chest and gently roll to your right side. Once you roll to your side, go ahead and you can press yourself up to a seat. Bringing your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Take a deep inhale and find that same space, right, that we cracked open along the length of your spine, top of your sternum. You can even use your thumbs to encourage the top of your sternum to lift up without your rib cage kind of popping forward. And then take your gaze, just a gentle gaze down towards your fingertips. So we can take this moment to sit in gratitude of this practice of breath, and this practice of movement, and this practice of finding space, right, where we felt there was none. Right? We cracked it open and gave life to it. And I thank you, right, for taking a crack at this practice with me. May all beings be happy and free and healthy. Namaste. Thank you.